Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Bold Badass Business, where we bring you badasses from all over the globe who are dedicating their time and energy to sharing their expertise with you because you too deserve to be a badass in business. So, welcome here, Jose Escobar, and the crowd goes wild. Woo! Because Jose is the leader of and founder of the Connected Leaders Academy. And he is a seven-figure entrepreneur who built this and one other business, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. In 15 months, he built this, you all, to seven figures organically. That is our key word here, organically. So I can't wait to hear what he says about all the experts who tell you you have to have this, that, and the other. And really, you don't need any of that at all. So welcome, Jose. We're glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barnsley, for having me on your amazing show. I'm excited to be here. And yes, the things you said are as exciting as it sounds. I really love talking about this topic, and I'm glad and honored to be here. So I'm excited.
Great. And you're tuning in from New Orleans. So I should tell you all that two members of the Connected Leaders Academy fell in love and are getting married this very weekend. So, when you join Connected Leaders Academy, CLA, as we call it, you just don't know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, right?
It's amazing because Raul Marin out of Maryland and Jessica Roman from Florida, Tampa, Florida, they met on a virtual coffee in the
Mm-hmm.
Connected Academy. And a virtual coffee is just a how can I serve you type of call where people jump on calls to kind of see how they can help each other out. And then, of course, that call turned into a 3-hour call. And that was a year and a half ago. And now they are getting married. I'm the best man for his wedding. And here we are for the bachelor party in New Orleans with 6 other CLA members. It's going to be a phenomenal time. We're excited.
Beautiful. Well, you've definitely created an organization that is close knit, right? And it is CLA is really what you make of it. It is what you put into it, you will definitely reap from. But if you sit back and hope it's going to do the work for you, that absolutely is not going to work. So let's share with people, first of all, I'm sure they're thinking, well, CLA, what the heck is that? How did that start? And tell us a bit about how you got the idea for the Connected Leaders Academy and how it just got originated. How was it born?
Sure. First of all, I'm in New Orleans now, but I'm actually from Maryland, born in Washington, D.C., Maryland, happily married with 5 kids and one on the way, number 6 in October. I haven't been an entrepreneur for a long time. I've been an entrepreneur for 2.5 years. I was a corporate guy. I was in banking. I was in life insurance. I was in property and casualty, working for State Farm and Liberty Mutual. Did a lot of great work for all these companies, and very much 9 to 5 suit and tie corporate type of guy, right? For all my life, for the most part. And at some point in time, I was a professional, or should I say, a personal development junkie for the last 25 years. I'm talking about going to all the seminars, boot camps, masterminds, summits, conventions, paying for coaches and mentors, programs, courses, you name it. I'm not afraid to invest in myself. I've been doing it for a long time. And in the process of all of this, I realized, oh my gosh, I have built so many phenomenal relationships with so many amazing entrepreneurs all around the country, to the tune of thousands of people that know me. And I thought to myself, there has to be a way to monetize this. I'm leaving money on the table. All these people know me, they don't know each other. So how can I bridge that gap? So the idea was, let me create an environment, let me create a community where entrepreneurs globally would want to be a part of it. And I just take a small cut financially to create a space where entrepreneurs can scale and grow their businesses. And I'm going to end with this. I created the CLA with 5 ideas in mind. I was like, I know entrepreneurs out there want 5 things. They want to grow personally and professionally, right? They want to scale their influence. They want to be more influential and be the go-to person in their industry. They want to make more money, right? They want to move the bottom line, more clients, right? More leads, collaborations, referrals. They want to develop their skill sets. None of us have arrived. It's a community where iron sharpens iron. And then lastly, they want to grow their network and their circle, right? So I knew that entrepreneurs wanted these 5 things. So that's why I created what I created. And this organization, this community, this family has blown up since then. It's amazing.
That's great. So you had those 5 values that were the guiding principles, so to speak, of the organization. And I think that's so important when we start an organization or we start a business, that we understand what are our highest values? What is it we truly stand for? Because then people will be attracted to that, right? Or they'll
Absolutely.
be repelled by it. You know? So Jose, how many people are in CLA right now? And how many countries are represented?
Yeah, so it's no coincidence that my first ever member his name is Raul Marin. He was the first guy who joined, and that's who we're celebrating here. Who's about to get married in 2 weeks. So I think 2.5, 3 weeks he's getting married, August 9th, whatever that time frame is. But he was member number one, and we've been growing referral based. Everyone has been referring people over and over organically, and we have grown to now over 412 members, all paid members. We're in 45 states across the US, and we're in 21 international countries. We're in cool places like France, Germany, Hong Kong, Pakistan, India, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Scotland, England, Malta, Peru, Mexico. I mean, the list goes on. Just so many amazing people here.
It's fantastic. And you've grown this really by relationships, not quote unquote driving traffic to a website, not Facebook
Right.
ads, some of the things that people do. You've grown it through the relationship. So tell everybody, what is it that the experts say you have to grow a 7-figure business, and why are they wrong?
Yeah, I love the saying that collaboration is the new currency, right? It's all about finding win-win-win opportunities with people.
Mhm.
And if you can present to them, hey, I'm not looking to sell you something per se. I'm not looking to pitch you something. I'm looking to create a win-win-win. And a win, it means a win for me, a win for them, and a win for the people that we collectively serve. That's what it really comes down to. In terms of the things that most people or experts. I say experts in quotes because nowadays there's so many experts out there. But at the end of the day, I believe that the people that really move the needle have mastery in what they do. They have achieved tremendous success. And mastery versus expert are two different things. I think expert means you know a lot of stuff. Mastery means you have mastered it and you have applied it and you have actually implemented these things in your life. There's a difference between knowing things and doing things, right?
Oh, yes, yes,
I will
yes.
always follow the people that are doers. I will follow the people. I never plug into a coach that doesn't have a coach, because I think we never arrive, right? There's always more learning, more growing, more connections to make, more impact to create. So when it comes to specifically what experts have told me, they said, Jose, your group, your organization is never going to grow over 100 people, 200 people, 300 people unless you have funnels. You need to have the appropriate funnels to get people to come in. You need to have strong lead magnets. You need to have paid ads. They said you got to start doing some paid ads. I'm telling you, you're gonna move. It's what you're doing now is like onesies and twosies. It'll take you forever. It'll take you 10 years to get to where I am now, is what people were telling me, without paid ads. Folks were saying, Jose, you need to have email marketing campaigns. You got to have an email marketing list, and you got to do that, or it's not going to work. I said, watch me. I said, I'm going to do it to go from 0 to 7 figures. I'm going to do it organically, word of mouth, relationship based, on just building relationships and serving people. And that's what I've done. And now, yes, now my goal is to go from 7 to 8 figures. And I am implementing that. I've already built a website. My website's only like four months old, something like that, right? So many
Mhm.
people are saying, Jose, I try to search you when they meet with me online. They're like, hey, I was trying to search you in Google and I didn't really find much about you, right? So they're almost like, how in the world are you so successful? And at least from what they see, for me, I'm just getting
Yeah.
started. How are you so successful? And I can barely find information on you on Google or when I search you, right? I said, because I did it intentionally, right? Everything I did it intentionally off of what everybody says. So that separates me from what everybody else is doing. Because I can say, hey, not only have I taught people how to become successful organically, I am doing it myself. And that's kind of where we're at now.
Nice, nice. There are a number of meetings that are part of Connected Leaders Academy, a number of value adds with that. How about talking a little bit about that, some of the meetings that are available and the resources that are available to people who are part of the organization?
Sure. So my bottom line, my goal is to make sure when somebody joins the CLA, the Connected Leaders Academy, they don't feel like they're just in another group, right? They feel like they're a part of a family. It's a tight-knit unit of entrepreneurs that are very similar in values, similar in culture, similar in mission and vision and purpose. And they're all aligned, locking arms to say, how can we help each other? How can we support each other? How can we take each other to the next level? Because a rising tide raises all ships. I say that all the time, right? A rising tide raises all ships. Your success is my success and vice versa. And I always say we have qualifications to be here. Okay, Dr. Barnsley, you know very well. I'm not looking for everyone. I'm looking for the entrepreneurs that A, qualify in terms of three quick parameters. They have to have a business, right? They have to have a success track record already and or mastery in their business. And number three, their ego fits through a door, right? And I say that kind of jokingly, but I've turned down many people because of inflated egos. Like, it's okay to have an ego. I think we all need one to thrive and survive. I'm talking about the inflated ego that thinks you've arrived, right? None of us have arrived. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is a culture. I protect the culture of this community very closely, right? I'm looking for servant leaders, heart-centered entrepreneurs, business owners that understand the law of reciprocity. The more you give, the more you get. Those are the people that we're after. And then lastly is, if somebody joins, we are better off. They add value to us. They make us better, and we can equally serve them. So it becomes a win-win two-way street. So speaking to that, in terms of the calls that you said, we have 5 calls on a regular basis people can plug into. On Mondays at 1 o'clock, we have a mastermind book club, of which you attend. And I know you're there with Ivy and some others, and people love that. It's just a great way to dive into a book and mastermind and deep dive and study throughout the week and then talk about it together in a collective group and network and build relationships. We have breakout mastermind calls where we have somebody talks about a challenge in their business, and then other people pour into you and give you value and expertise. Because guess what? We're not all coaches. We're not all speakers. This is not a real estate group. It's not just a coaching group. It's not just a speaker group. If you notice, a lot of people hang out with the same circles, with the same people in the same industries. Everyone here, we have real estate investors, insurance brokers, attorney offices, coaches, authors, speakers, trainers, publishing companies, social media gurus, you name it. I did that on purpose because it's a collective of the best of all industries, so we can make ourselves better, right? Iron sharpens iron again. And then, of course, we have speaker calls. I bring in global experts, people that are masterful at one piece of specialized knowledge. They teach and train for 30 minutes, followed by Q&A from all the members. We have an ask and give meet and greet call where you get to come and ask something of the community as a favor, and then, of course, give something of value in return. And I co-host that with Suzanne Taylor, who's an amazing entrepreneur herself. And then we also have our Business Connections Action Hour. That's Fridays, and that's with Daniel Andrews, who co-hosts that with me. And it's about stop networking and start building relationships that matter. And we do some cool speed dating there where you get to meet a bunch of people very quickly in breakout rooms, and just a lot of stuff going on. And let me tell you, Dr. Barnsley, you know very clearly, and anybody who's curious, I am always finding ways to add more value to the community. More calls, more value, anonymous surveys, tell us your feedback. We're always looking to serve and increase our value at all times.
Yes, yes. And I think you also meet with people regularly, right? From the group?
I sure do.
Yeah.
I offer my services in terms of coaching or consulting with people. If they want to book a call with me, they're free to do so once a month for 30 minutes. I pour into them any level of expertise that I have. I normally charge $2,000 an hour for one-on-one consulting, but CLA members get access to me for any level of coaching or consulting. And I also run and facilitate calls. I'm not the guy who signs somebody up in my membership or my community and say, okay, I'm glad you're here, see you later.
Yeah.
I'm very much in the front of this thing.
Yeah.
I do calls, I facilitate calls, I'm involved, I'm there with the people,
Yeah. And that's so important. It really is important. It makes things so very different, to have it really be a tight-knit community, and people are equal in the community. Everyone's important. I think that's really super, super important. And one thing I really like about CLA too is it is very diverse, not just the diversity that you already talked about all the different states and all the different countries, and also Hawaii, right? And Puerto Rico, but it is diverse in terms not just of nationality, but in terms of race and in terms of age, in terms of industry. So share a little bit about that, because I think that is super important these days when we are in a world that needs more connection and harmony between people?
Yeah, so our culture, first of all, I protect it very closely. There is no link that somebody could go to today to just sign up and join, right? And I do that on
Yeah.
purpose, all the way up until now, from when I first started all the way up until
Yeah.
now, and I stay
Yep.
that way because I want to make sure we have the right people here, that they fit the culture, all the things I mentioned earlier. Very, very important to me. I care more about quality than quantity, right? If you can have both, amazing. But I'm looking more for the quality of what we're looking for in terms of the culture. Now, while I'm saying that, I also want to let people know, like you said, yes, there's all kinds of backgrounds here, right? We have all kinds of nationalities here. We have people from all over the world, for crying out loud, Mexico, India, Hong Kong, Pakistan, South Africa, all these different places. So we have not only diverse people, we have diverse backgrounds intentionally in terms of business. Because have you noticed that coaches hang out with coaches and speakers hang out with speakers? And real estate investors, when they go to events, what kind of events do they go to? They go to real estate investor events, right? And a lot of times, the only kind of diversity that people explore when it comes to events is going to the big ones that we all know of. Like they go to Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah.
Unleash that event, or they go to like a John Maxwell IMC type event, right? And that's the extent of their diversity, where they meet other people. But the
Yeah.
reality is, all these folks that are hanging around the same circles in the same industries with the same people, guess what they're also doing? They're tripping over the same prospects. And it gets old. And a lot of people are building their businesses in the same ways by harpooning people on LinkedIn, spirit chucking people on Facebook. They're going in Facebook groups and adding free value and putting people in nets and kind of almost going like this to see what comes out. And then they slide into DMs and say, hey, we should jump on a call. And you jump on a call real quick and you realize very quickly they're trying to sell you. You're trying to sell them. Nobody sells each other. You end up not being friends anyway, and you waste an hour of your life you never get back. And that's kind of what's happening. So I intentionally created diversity here on all levels of diversity, in the sense of the term of what that means, on purpose, because there's so many amazing people out there in this world in entrepreneurship, and I'm just looking to bring the best of all different backgrounds in a place that everybody has that same culture, which is important.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the global summit was wonderful. I went to the global summit, met you just a week or so before, and ended up traveling up to Maryland. It was a great experience. I met some people that I'd known for a long time, like Suzanne Taylor King and Daniel Andrews. I knew them from Zoom, but I had never met them in person. Michelle Murder. So that was fabulous to meet them in person, and met a lot of other people, and many collaborations have come of it, many podcasts, etc. So yeah, I think there's a lot of collaboration happening in CLA. So how do you see CLA as different from other networking organizations? What do you see as the biggest difference?
So there's a lot of networking groups out there, right? And I say it again in quotes, networking groups out there.
Yeah.
A lot of them I find are pitch fest communities. And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by pitch fest communities, I mean every time you jump on a call, a virtual coffee with somebody, they're going to pitch you something. They're going to try to sell you something. They're going to try to enroll you in something. And if they don't do it very bluntly and aggressively, they're going to disguise it and really do like a sales discovery call, where they're trying to get to know you, but they're really trying to get to know you so they can sell you on call number two. Right? So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I realize that a lot of the groups that are out there have that as like something that just happens. And what I decided to do was I wanted to create an environment that's different. I'm a part of many groups. I think everybody should be a part of at least 5 paid communities that have one of your own. That's my rule of thumb. I teach people that in my mastermind. Be a part of 5 paid communities and have one of your own, right? So can you have more? Yes. Should you have less? No less than 3, but at least 5, and no more than 10. So I'm in about 10 communities myself, and I always cap myself at 10. And then after that, I just say, hey, I'm in enough things, right? And eventually I wrote, and I always reevaluate every year. Where should I stay and where should I not be? Right? But the key is, what separates the CLA from any other groups is, we have all kinds of diversity here, which is phenomenal, right? You're going to find most groups that you go to are mostly this or mostly that. And this is like mostly a little bit of everything, actually, right? So, which is cool. And then we also are very particular about the process of how we connect with each other. When people jump on calls, they're virtual coffees is what we call it, right? A virtual coffee. And we make sure that people don't pitch each other. It's Let's support each other. Let's see how we can serve each other. Let's say, for example, I jumped on a virtual coffee with you, Dr. Barnsley, and I was just a member, not the CEO, and I was just a member, and you're Dr. Barnsley. I would in my mind, when I'm talking to you, I would think to myself, how can I serve Dr. Barnsley, right? After you tell me what you tell me. So I'm going to say, hey, Dr. Barnsley, you know what? I actually know somebody in my network that would be a great potential client for you. Let me bridge that gap and do a warm introduction for you. Or, you know what, Dr. Barnsley, I have a podcast. I would love for you to be a guest on my podcast. You know what, Dr. Barnsley, I have a stage. I create stages. I have an in-person event coming up or a virtual event coming up. I would love for you to be a speaker on my stage. Why? Because I know that's going to serve you, right? Or, hey, Dr. Barnsley, based on what you do and what I do, there's some overlap. Why don't we create some kind of JV or like a key referral partnership with each other so we can support each other that way? And then lastly, guess what? Sometimes in the CLA, people don't pitch each other, but sometimes somebody's going to fall in your lap as a client anyway, because they're going to talk to you and say, oh my gosh, that's what you do? As a matter of fact, I've been interested in looking for something like that. I would love to learn more. So now they're asking, now they're inquiring. So yes, you can of course talk about, you know, what you offer and see if it's a good fit if they inquire on that level, which happens all the time. But again, this is a community where you're not going to feel pressure to buy things all the time from people. It's a community where there's so much diversity and there's so many different backgrounds. It's also a community, again, if you're a speaker, you're a coach, or you're an author, you have to be here. You know why? Because you're going to get on tons of podcasts and tons of stages. That's one of the special things of what we do here. And our price point is right. I'm not charging an arm and a leg. We're charging something very nominal down here versus the value up here, right? And we're just doing some really cool things. And again, people don't leave. Our retention is massively high, and we're growing right now at the pace of 1 new member per day on average, referral based.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah, you know, I think it's an awesome opportunity to get to know a lot of people and do the podcast swaps. I've had an interesting experience. I'll tell you, Jose, some people who have asked me, we've been in one-on-one and we've been, you know, looking for ways to help each other. And they've wanted to do enrollment conversations. And I always separate that out. I say, okay, well, we can do that, but that's going to be separate, you know, from what we're doing here. And I think that's super important because that initial meeting, it should really be, as I see it, reciprocal. It should be where I want to connect you with so-and-so and so-and-so, or I want to feature you here and they want to put me in front of somebody or whatever. It's just a reciprocal circulation of the energy and resources that we've been given. So I do like to separate things out when somebody does say, oh my gosh, I really need what you have. I'm going to have them go do a little application and then we're going to do a separate session. Yeah. So it's very important. Yeah. So Jose, would you say you all have been, CLA has been for 2.5 years, has been going. And I know that you've started a lifetime membership now, you know, which I think is a really cool idea, you know, because especially with small business owners, those starting out, funds can be tight, or we're investing in this and that and the other thing. And, you know, training budgets could be smaller. So I think that lifetime possibility, the lifetime membership is a great idea. Tell us a little bit about that. And sure. I know we're going to offer something really exciting, you all. By the way, for those of you who listen, Jose and I talked about this, and he's going to offer you something really exciting at the end. So don't tune out now. Tell us about that lifetime membership.
And by the way, what I'm offering at the end here for anybody who's interested in CLA, I've never offered ever before. Mm. Okay, this is a first, and I'm doing it for you, Dr. Barnsley. Woo-hoo! I greatly appreciate
Badass business show. Woo, woo.
I greatly appreciate you and the value you bring to our community and our great conversations we've had. And you're a servant leader like no other. Yeah. You're always looking to add value to people and serve people, and I greatly appreciate that about you. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to do something for your amazing audience and the people that you serve and the people that are in your world, I want to make sure it's something special. So I have something really cool that I've never done before. But in terms of the monthly, right? So I have a monthly membership. That's kind of the intention. Initially, I said I wanted a recurring revenue. I wanted to do something where I don't have to be the John Maxwell or the Tony Robbins or any of these people. I just want to be the guy who creates the space, right? And everybody else is the heroes, and I'm the guide. And I just kind of create the space and environments where people can thrive and do some really cool things, right? So That's where it started with the monthly membership. And then from there, and the price has increased over time. Every 6 months, our price goes up, but only for new members, not for existing members. Wherever somebody comes in, they grandfather that rate forever. And it's only because we're always getting bigger, better, bolder, right, badder, right, all kinds of amazing things. And I'm always adding more value in terms of more people means what? More opportunities. More opportunities means more value. More value means more cost. I'm always adding new features and benefits to the community. Now we have a university, we have a members area. People get access to me. People get access to our private Facebook group, only for paid members, a lot of engagement there. They get access to all of our live calls. I mean, it's very robust in terms of what we're offering. So at some point I had people telling me, Jose, if we just pay you up front, can we save money, like an annual membership? Because that didn't exist. That only came in less than a year ago. And I decided, okay, I listen to the people, right? You got to check the pulse. And I do anonymous surveys twice a year in the community. Say, tell me what's good, what's not so good, what would you like to see more of, how can we be better? And I take feedback very seriously, right? So a lot of people were saying, hey, can we just pay you up front and save money? I said, okay, you know what? It makes sense. And I want to make sure I'm giving people what they want. So the annual membership became available. And that saves people a lot of money if they just paid up front instead of month to month, right? And then, of course, recently, I have now rolled out the lifetime membership because we're all investing in so many different things. And I said, let me just put something together for those people who want to just say one and done. Here's my one payment. I want to save as much money as I possibly can, and I don't want to have a recurring monthly thing going on or annual fees going on to stay a part of something. I just want to pay you one time, save as much money as possible, and that lifetime membership is now available here. So we have 3 ways for people to be a part of our family.
And I think that's great. I think the lifetime membership is great because it creates stability. It's kind of like the elders in the church, they create a kind of stability and continuity, because they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep staying involved, most likely, once they've made that investment. And it just creates a strength, I think, in the core members. So I think it's a great idea. I really do. And perhaps we should tell them at this point what it is you're going to offer. Or should we stop for a second? Oh yeah, let's stop for a second, Jose, and let's talk about a couple of your mistakes in business. We love those on Bold Badass Business. What would you say are some mistakes you've made that people can learn from?
What mistakes have I not made is the question. Oh my gosh, I have made many mistakes.
Yeah, that's how I feel, for sure.
I think we all make mistakes, and anybody who tells you they haven't made mistakes, they probably haven't done much.
Run.
They either haven't done much or they're just flat out lying to your face, right? So, because in order to be successful in anything, you have to fail. Failure is part of the success journey, but failing is only a failure if it doesn't go forward. If you just stay stuck and you stay down and you don't take something that you learn away and say, what did I learn from this experience? How can I come back stronger and better and wiser and more intelligently and strategically, right? So failure is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. Embrace the failure process because it's going to serve you. Now, there's smart ways to fail and there's not so smart ways to fail. I fail smartly because I have coaches, I have mentors, I always invest in courses and programs. I invest in all kinds of events. I go to live events all the time. And I don't go to events unless I'm a speaker. You know how many people say, I'll go to your event only if I speak. No, I go to events because I want to learn and I want to grow. I want to position myself around other winners to continue to expand my network and all those things. And then, yeah, if I want to speak, somebody wants to put me on a stage, awesome. That is icing on the cake, right? But that's just what I do. I'm always looking to improve. And when I'm doing that, what am I doing? I am downloading years of experience from other people's mistakes and failures, and I am now injecting it into me and my journey so that I can make less mistakes. That's why I love to read books. I read a book a week. I'm an avid reader. Reading is super important because that's literally downloading people's lifetime successes and achievements and failures and just learning from that very quickly. Autobiographies as well, you read stuff like that. So that's what I do, and that's how I fail forward. And I haven't had to make certain mistakes because I've learned from other people's mistakes. They say, a lot of times they say, experience is the best teacher. Yes, I agree with that to an extent. That's half a statement. Experience is the best teacher only if it's somebody else's experience, because now you are saving yourself the time and the money that you cannot afford to make those same mistakes.
And the stress and frustration. And that's why I think it's so important, to have multiple coaches. And I have had, gosh, I added it up. It's like 16 in the last 4 or 5 years. Seriously.
You're not alone, Dr. Barnsley.
Yeah.
I've been in, I haven't really counted, but I know it's somewhere in that neighborhood. It's been a lot. And
I
they're not,
added it up one day. Added up. I was like, oh my God. I just thought it
yeah,
was maybe 5 or 6. But
yeah,
there are certain ones that are more important. We'll just say more comprehensive than others. And that's what I'm always harping about with people, is just make sure that you choose a coach who really has a comprehensive program that works and a success rate that
yeah,
is proven, because there are too many people doing programs out there that don't have a lot of experience and they don't have the results. And one of the reasons they don't have the results is they don't deal with the mindset issues. And that's essential. We have to deal with the mindset issues or we won't implement, right? We just won't.
Amen to
Yeah.
that. Let me answer your question, Dr. Barnsley, because I kind of went off on a tangent. I get passionate when we talk about these things, so I just went off.
Listen, tangents are welcome here. That was a great tangent. That was a squirrel worth running after, Jose.
Okay, wonderful. Well, so to answer your question very specifically, and I'll just answer it and not go on a tangent this time, is my mistakes, right? I'll give you 3. I made many, but I'll give you just 3 that come to the top of my mind right now. One of the mistakes I've made easily has been doing too much too soon, right? Because we're so eager. We're like, ooh, I want to just dive in and do it all and do it at the highest level. But there is something called steps, right? Like if you're going to climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower or the Washington Monument, whatever, you got to take 1 step at a time, maybe 2 if you're lucky. But if you start trying to skip 4 or 5 steps at a time, you're not going to go very far because you're going to burn out real quick, right? So there's steps that you got to take, and small, simple steps, which James Clear talks about in his book Atomic Habits. Small, simple steps. So that is the journey. That's what I try to do too much too soon. And now I have 9 income streams. I have 9 different revenue streams that come in that I've created that were just next logical steps, like books and speaking and membership and merchandise and courses and programs and a mastermind and you name it. But I try to do too many things too fast, and that started like hurting because I was not able to give everything the appropriate attention it required, right? So that's the first main mistake. And 2 other quick ones, I would say. Another one is investing too much money back into your business too fast, right? I was like literally making money and making great money, and then it was just coming in, but I would say, oh, I'm making more money. So I'd be like, let me sponsor you. Let me sponsor you. Let me invest in that. So before you know it, it's like it wasn't a payday anymore. It was a transfer day where I would just make money and I would transfer to something. So that's a scary thing. So that's I got to be more cautious about how I do things there. And then the last one, number 3, if I just say one more thing, I would say is probably not having the appropriate structure when it comes to my day-to-day and my calendar, right? Because I realized I was spending a lot of my time doing a lot of things that weren't moving the needle. And the key is 70% of my calendar is new business, right? It's always, I need to stay prospecting. I got to keep prospecting. A lot of times we start filling up our pipeline and we see that we're getting traction, we're getting clients. And then we start to, what do we do naturally on the gas? We start to do this because we have so much going on. But you never let off the gas when it comes to prospecting and when it comes to sales calls. That has to be a daily non-negotiable in the good times and in the not so good times. Because if you stop at some point, it's going to creep up 30, 60, 90 days later, and you're going to have a dry month with an empty pipeline, and you're going to wonder what the heck that happened. And it happened because at some point you started letting off the gas, which is a big mistake.
Very true. ABM, always be marketing.
Yes.
Seriously. I love that. And I love that you said that those sales conversations, I always like to say enrollment, because we're really enrolling that person in their vision for their life, their business, the impact they make in the world. I don't really love the term sales because it feels so transactional. But the thing about enrollment conversations is they do need to be daily or at least weekly. If it's a really high ticket item, at least weekly. And we need to know also how many we need to have. All right. Recently did that with some of my clients, and they were pleased that really to get where they wanted to get immediately, you know, quickly, they could do it with just 4 or 5 higher end clients.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's totally doable per month. Very doable. So it's important to know those numbers, and most people don't. I really appreciate you what you said too about just trying too much too fast and doing things that aren't moving the needle. You know, those revenue generating activities, I'm always harping about that they have to go first. They have to happen. Some of them are short term, some of them are long term, but they must happen, and they must happen daily if we want to see that needle move. I like your 70% is new business. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
70% is new business. And that's why those of you who have listened so far, listen to the first part, you know that he said the CLA, the Connected Leaders Academy, is growing by the rate of one person per day. Why? Because you're putting that time in. You're putting that emphasis on that 70%, bringing in those new people who can benefit the community.
Yep.
All right. So that said, those are some great tips. And, I love that we can learn from other people's mistakes. We can hire them, learn from those mistakes so we don't need to make them. Thank God for that, right?
Yeah,
Thank God.
it's like walking through a minefield, right? I had a mentor of mine who said to me, Dr. Barnsley, listen, if you're going to walk through a minefield, follow somebody. Follow somebody so you don't make the
Probably
same
somebody
mistake.
who knows the way.
Yeah, you clear the path, you know where to go, and that's kind of what it's about. And so yeah, there's smart ways to do things, and then there's not so smart ways to do things. There's working hard, and there's working hard and smart simultaneously. You decide what path you want to take, but I suggest the latter.
Yes, absolutely. Things can be with ease. They don't have to be so difficult when you have someone who knows where they are where you want to go. I think that's so very, very important. And too many people are too cheap with their businesses. And I certainly was in the first decade of my business. And you know what? You know what happened is it slowed me down. And it was why, I became who I am and do the program that I do now, because I didn't want other people to be slowed down. So
Yeah.
Jose, let's give them the goodies. Let's tell them what you're going to give them. This is super exciting that you've never given before. Woohoo! Drum roll.
So what I'm going to do for anyone in your audience, and it has to be someone who is a follower of your podcast. So if somebody follows Dr. Barnsley's podcast and they saw this episode or heard this episode, then you would qualify for this. This is for your audience only, okay? And what this is I'm going to offer them $550 off of the annual membership.
Wow.
Folks, that's a chunk of money. I'm going to offer $550 off of the annual membership, which is a really, really powerful savings. And I'm also on the lifetime membership. If somebody joins on an annual level, I'm going to offer $1,000 off.
You mean if they join on the lifetime level? You just said annual.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
So $550 off of the annual and $1,000 off of the lifetime membership, which is really what you want to get, you all. I mean, you'll see when you got to talk with Jose first, though. Remember, because Jose he's gonna ask you questions, and he's gonna want to find out who you are, and he's going to be making sure that you will be a great asset to the CLA.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that if you're watching this, chances are you are, right? If you're watching this show, and on a Friday afternoon, my goodness, other people are probably having themselves a cocktail, but you're listening. Maybe some of you are having a cocktail while you're listening. That's okay. But you're listening. So I know you're a badass already. And I just have to give 2 thumbs up to the CLA. I'm so glad that I joined. It has definitely been the source of a lot of platform swaps, lots of collaborations, and I think that the paid business is coming. It's coming. It'll come with that. But right now, I enjoy the relationships and the growth that there is, in sharing and supporting each other. So, Jose, I will into the freebie vault. I will put this information into the freebie vault, and I'll also put a link to your calendar, I think would be a good idea, right? So they could just grab that. And so here's what you'll want to do, everybody. You're going to go to the Freebie Vault. And here's the great thing. The Freebie Vault has thousands and thousands of dollars of free gifts. So you're going to go in there and you find it at bit.ly/free from Dr. B, DRB. Again, bit.ly/free from Dr. B. I made it rhyme so you'd remember. So you go right in there, you put in your email, and you can go in and choose what you want to avail yourselves of from that. And Jose's wonderful offer will be in there, and you'll be able to just poke around and find the things that will help you in your business. And you can definitely share this. Please share the Bold Badass Business with your show with other people who have businesses, and share the Freebie Vault. The whole point is that we want to support and promote business owners. We want you to be badasses, and we want you to have a sustainable business that you're proud of. So, Jose, I'd like to thank you again for being here with us. You gave us so much to think about. I look forward to more discussions in CLA, and I know that you can have a great time this weekend at the wedding of 2 of the CLA members.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. You're amazing. Your podcast is amazing. And everything you do and the people you surround yourself with are amazing. So honored. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Be a badass, everybody. See you next week, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Friday and 1:30 p.m. Pacific.